Well, I'm okay with the fact that I'm not the world's most interesting person, like that Dos Equis spokesperson from a few years back, the stay thirsty, my friends guy. I don't drink much at all, but when I do, it usually leads to something embarrassing. So when I heard about this topic, I asked my wife, in the 35 years you've known me, have I done anything that's like with alcohol related that's so embarrassing, it would make a good topic? I mean, and of course, my wife didn't know about the things that preceded her, like that time my senior year in college, where at a off campus house I shared with five other guys, I was introduced for the first time to a bottle of Southern Comfort, and it didn't have operating instructions. And well, honestly, to the best of my memory, I don't remember much about the rest of that evening. I must have been pretty thirsty. But they told me the next day about last night and what I did and what I said and how silly, embarrassing, and even humiliating it was. And I told myself then I would never drink so much that I'd embarrass myself like that again. And I didn't until about 4 years later. And now I'm 24 and I'm a lieutenant in the Army stationed in Germany. And a bunch of West Point cadets come over to visit with us to see what their assignments will be like in their first position when they graduate. So one of them is assigned to shadow me. So I spend a week showing him the ropes. And then on Saturday, I decide to take him into Munich to see all the major sites. And I end it with planning to have dinner and one of those famous liters of beer at the Hofbrauhaus. And so I take him there, and my plan starts out all right, and we have this dinner and a great time. But I don't know, somewhere that plan for one beer must have led to two or three, or honestly, the best of my memory, I don't remember how many. But I must have really been thirsty that night. But we closed the Hofbrauhaus, and as I got out on the sidewalk, I realized I was really not in any condition to drive home. And so we go out to my car, which fortunately I only parked about a block and a half away. And I suggest to this cadet, we just stay here and recline the seats and let me rest till my head clears and drive safely home. And he gladly agrees with that plan. So I recline the seat and pass out immediately. And the next thing I notice, all this sunlight coming in the windshield. And I hear this knock on my driver's side window. And it's a German Polizei officer. And I'm like terrified. I'm horrified. I roll my window down. I start talking to him, and he asked me what I'm doing. And I explained to him about last night. And he looks around the car, and he asked me to get out of the car to, I guess, see if my coordination, balance, and everything is okay, which gratefully it is. And he releases me to go, to continue and go on home. But that time I really swore that I would never drink so much that I would be embarrassed or have to explain about last night again. And I didn't until about 4 years after that. And then a friend suggests we go to the Club Med in Bermuda together. And we have a great time doing all the, righteous stuff. We're playing tennis and golf and scuba and beach and pool. And it's all inclusive, wonderful place. But one day it rains really hard all day, and we really can't do anything except we have like this 3-hour lunch, which extends itself right into an also long dinner. And there's all this included, wine and beer to drink. So by the time that dinner's over, I've had so much to drink, I just don't know what to do myself. I mean, I'm very enthusiastic at this point. And then the resort stage show starts, and they encourage audience participation, but I far exceeded, what they were looking for. And I'm singing and dancing in my seat at the show. And I mean, I could not have possibly been thirsty at that point. And I get up after that, they open the dance floor. And I'm out there, busting some moves. And I think I must be impressing everybody because they're all looking at me. And I noticed the resort manager is also looking at me and kind of politely smiling. And then he calls over this, attractive young lady who I recognize as one of the instructors in the fitness center there. And then she comes over to me along with two of her male colleagues who look like they've been cloned from the mighty Thor out of the Marvel superheroes. And they come and ask me if I'd like to continue to party with them back in my room. And now what I didn't know at the time was that they were a specially trained team to, for retraction of the people who had overindulged so that we could get back to our room safely without hurting ourselves. So anyway, I agreed to go party with them. And although I'm sure I didn't really have much choice in this extraction operation they were running. And we go back, and I don't know much else beyond that, except that the next morning, a lot of people are, coming up to me, other guests, and saying, how do you feel this morning? And telling me embarrassing stories. And I say this time for sure, I will not drink that much and embarrass myself like this again. And I don't, which leads me back to where I went up to my wife and asked her, can she remember anything in the last 35 years we've been married where I've embarrassed myself with alcohol? And she can't. And I don't remember anything like that either in that time. But I think I have the same kind of advice that world's most interesting man would give to you. And that is, if you want to avoid embarrassment, it's better to just stay thirsty, my friends. Thank you.